Subscribe to the William Pace Show YouTube channel. Be sure to click the bell and give us the thumbs up. Thank you.
The William Pace Show through the years has been a beacon of light in the Midwest, taking you to such destinations as the Navy Pier, the Palmer Hilton Palace Hotel, the German Village, the Showboat Majestic Theatre, the Ohio Village, and the Krohn Conservatory. There's always something cooking in the kitchen on the William Pace Show. Some of the biggest stars, entertainers, and political figures like B.B. King, Jimmy Walker, Bob Carlisle, Patti Austin, Mr. T, Whitley Phibbs, and Congressman Tony Hall have appeared on the William Pace Show. Now, without further ado, we proudly present the William Pace Show on CATV, coming to you from the heart of the Midwest. The William Pace Show, asking the questions you want to ask, getting the answers everyone wants to know. It's a new season of the William Pace Show. We're raising the bar with more commitment to educate, inform, encourage, inspire, empower, and help you have your best life. Everyone deserves to have their best life. I'm just staying the course. Here we go.
Hello, I'm William Pace. Thanks so much for tuning us in tonight. My guest is Noreen Kennedy. She's a volunteer coordinator, foster parent recruiter, too. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
How long have you been a volunteer recruiter for the
Well, I volunteered for about 2 years, and then after that I started working there, and I've worked there for about 2 years now.
What do you like about the work?
Well, I really enjoy being with the kids, and I really believe that every kid has, something in there that's good, and sometimes you got to coax it out of them. So I like being there, and I like being able to hook the kids up with different people, volunteers or foster parents, and really giving the kids a chance to be able to grow and to bring that out.
You know, I believe the youth is really our future and that we have to really invest a lot into our youth. So what can we do to instill more self-esteem in our youth today?
Well, I would say definitely educating people more on parenting skills. We have a lot of youth that are having babies, so definitely that. But then I also think, people volunteering and putting in time and showing the kids that there's a different way other than what they're used to in their house or in their neighborhood or whatever. So I think that's, a real way, something we can do right now, and I've seen people who do that and make a huge difference in the kids' lives, and the kids hold on to that, and it's really just like an avenue where they are treated, with respect. They learn how to respect somebody, through that also. And then I really think that most kids want to get that positive feedback, and that's, and then when they start to get that there, then they just thrive.
They feel good about themselves then.
Yeah, and they thrive.
So the self-esteem really starts in the home then, having good relations in the home then, and that sort of fosters a good feeling within the child to have a good outlook on life and so forth.
Yes, definitely.
I know that you're also involved in many, many projects for the Building Bridges, and one of the projects you had last night, one of the events, was a fundraising event. You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, we had a benefit concert. It was called Bridging the Gap. And
I love that title, Bridging the Gap.
Yeah, and that's truly what we do. And we had different bands that came out. They donated their time, and they came out and did a performance. And we had a couple different restaurants donating food and drinks. And the bands performed, and we sold tickets for it, and people came out, and it was really fun. It was interesting to see, and they were all local bands and stuff. So
it's wonderful how all those people came together to create this wonderful event. And so what will the money be used for then?
Well, they will. They originally had started it. The girl who put it together for us, her name's Tricia Smith. She had originally done it. She was a tutoring volunteer, and noticed that we don't have a lot of computers or things for our kids to use, which nowadays these kids really need to be exposed to that. So she had originally started it looking to be able to raise money for computers. Well, then we had somebody else that came through and donated computers. So this will go into what we call a general fund, but it will go towards different activities that will come up. We have a canoe trip we send our boys on. We have something called Ladies' Day that we do for our girls. We do biking trips. We try to expose our kids to as many different things, things that they don't really have a chance to see. We had one of our probation officers took a couple of girls and they went up to SeaWorld and they spent the night there. And, it just gives the probation officers a chance to spend time just, relaxing and doing fun things and not always, holding them accountable for every little thing, but just going and having fun and stuff. So things like that, it always costs money. And so, we use it for different things like that. One thing that our organization does is that any of the donations that come in, less than 1% of it goes towards any administrative costs. So, and I know as myself donating to different places, that is something that's really important to me, is how much goes to really what I'm actually giving money to. And so, the kids really, are getting the money.
So every cent, for the most part, goes to programs and activities, so forth, for the youth and so forth. I want to talk a little bit about the youth. Many of them, when they come to the detention center, they end up either having some problem with the law. And does that stem really from coming from families where both of the parents may be working, or a single family homes where there's only one parent in the family? What is the problem that contributes to youth getting in trouble with the law?
I hate to, say it's, both parents working or something like that. That's like I said, that would be an easy answer. It would be something that would be a lot easier to solve. But we have kids from all different economic backgrounds. I think probably, and this is my personal opinion, it would be the lack of parenting, whether there's two parents there. I mean, I've seen, single parents, and we have foster parents that are single parents, but they are absolutely great parents. And they, so you can't really pin it on that one thing, but I would just say lack of parenting. Not wanting to put in the time that it takes to be a good parent, or educating themselves on it, or, that's what I guess what I would say with what I would say the problem would be. And a lot of times what we try to do when a kid comes into our program, we don't just deal with just the kids, but if we see that there's something, we have groups that we'll have probation officers pick up the parents of the kids that we have and take them to these parenting classes. And when we find a problem, you can't just fix little Johnny that's sitting in this home and then expect everything to go well. It's the whole, everybody's got to change and make some changes and see some things. So we try to do that too. I mean, we really want the kid to be successful, and that's the way that they'll be most successful.
After they're in the detention center, then do they go back to their home with their own families then, or do they stay there in the center?
Well, what happens is if a kid commits a crime, then they're taken down to the detention center downtown, or the juvenile courts. When they're there, then there's an assessment that's done in a program that's called Crisis Care. They do an assessment on the kid. They try to decide, are we going to send this kid home? Are we going to send him home on house arrest? Are we going to keep him in detention? Are we just going to release him? So something's made there, and then they also assess what they think. If somebody comes in and they've been picked up for assault or something and they're drunk, then obviously, we're thinking, okay, now they're going to probably need some, drug and alcohol, help with, getting over that problem. So you try to find them the services that they need. But then they would be referred by the court to our program. And the kid would, then maybe be released in home, and then they're referred to our program, and
so there's an officer, probation officer, that works with the family then?
Yes. Yeah, we have probation officers in our program, and we also have case managers also. And when a kid comes to our program, we might find that they need to be placed in a foster home once we find that maybe the home isn't a safe place for the kids.
So that could be contributing to the reason they got in trouble with the
Absolutely,
law, so
yes.
forth. So a decision is made whether the child stays in the home or goes to a foster home then.
Right, or we also have a group home for boys, and sometimes they're released there.
We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. Hello, I'm William Pace, and I'm back with my guest, Noreen Kennedy from Building Bridges. Is it wise for the youth to stay in a home when there are so many problems in a home? Is it more advantageous for them to be placed outside of their own home and have some kind of visitation from their biological parents?
And I've seen both sides. I've seen kids who have been taken out, and you know, it's like taking them out of a home where they are just surviving, you know, not only day to day but minute to minute, because there can be some horrible things going on.
Because there's apparently something wrong,
right,
in the home setting that they got into trouble with the law.
Right.
Either the parents weren't paying attention, or they weren't getting something from their parents, or maybe it was a cry for help by getting into trouble with the law that their parents weren't able to see, perhaps.
Right. And I've seen them when we take them out and we put them into a foster home, which is a safe environment. And then when they're there and they realize they're safe, then we can start, you know, when our foster parent coordinator, she looks at, or our case manager, she looks at the case and she'll say, okay, I see these as issues that this kid's going to have to deal with. So you wait for the child to get in, then we give them a couple weeks to just, you know, get used to their placement, and then we start pushing them in the areas that we're going to, you know, that they need, we see that they need to grow in, areas that they might need to realize about their families. You know, maybe if people aren't going to make a change at home, we can't just take the kid and put them back in the home again. We might have to have that child realize that that they might have to be going into something we call independent living, you know, where they will get an apartment and they will, you know, and we help them out with that. And Daybreak is an area that helps a lot of our kids do that. But I've just seen kids, that's probably the area that I see kids make the biggest changes, because, you know, these foster parents are, you know, doing this out of the goodness of their hearts and are educated on it, and they really, they become part of our team, and we work very closely with our foster parents, and they become part of what will help this kid grow, and they work with us, they push the kids in those areas, and that's where I've seen the kids make the biggest difference. There are kids that, you know, the parents maybe aren't as bad, and they're interested in, I want to make some changes, why is this happening? And maybe they just don't understand why it's happening. When we can point that out to them, then they're willing to work on their issues also. And then, you know, then that's, you know, it would be great. It's the ideal situation if we could keep the child in their own home with their own parents.
That would be great, yeah. That would be the ideal situation.
But sometimes it doesn't
always work out that way. Tell me, is Building Bridges sort of like the last chance for many of the youth?
It is. The kids that come to us have normally been on a regular probation, or what we call traditional probation, which isn't as much, there isn't as much time spent with the kid. They've usually failed in that area, and then the courts will go ahead and refer them to us, and it's kind of like their last chance, and if you don't succeed here, then you'll be going, you know, you'd be committed and you'd be doing
Do they
time.
know that it's their last chance?
The judges, I think, usually tell
them
yeah.
that.
And some kids either don't believe it, or, you know, they just continue to act out. You know, and then you know, you can't have them continuing to commit crimes and not being, you know, punished for them. So, but we really work with them, and what we spend a lot of time in building relationships. We carry smaller caseloads so we can do that, and we have a lot of activities, and put it into some area where the kids get comfortable. They start to trust you. They spent time, not just you should do this, you should do that. You know, so it's more comfortable. The kids start to let down the walls. You can find out more. We often find out stuff that's going on at home then, and that's when we then, you know, petition for the courts to take them out and put them in foster care.
Tell me, your title is volunteer coordinator and foster parent recruiter. What do you look for in volunteers, and what do you look for in foster parents? Are there certain qualities that you're looking for?
I'm trying to think. Well, probably one of the biggest things, well, first of all, that they have to like being with kids. And a lot of times what we say to foster parents and volunteers is, you know, are you doing this for you, or are you doing this for the child? You know, I mean, if you're looking for the kid to give you something, I mean, they do give you back, but sometimes you don't always, you might not realize it, or if you don't know how damaged a kid is, you know, they do little things, and that's stuff that we're more in tune to, in saying, did you see how, you know, Johnny did this or this? That was a big move for them. Well, you know, to somebody who's healthy, that might seem like nothing. And, you know, so somebody who's flexible, who's accepting, who won't make judgments on the kids because they come from all different lifestyles, and, you know, a lot of us can't even imagine, you know, what they've been through. So it has to be somebody who's willing to do that and stick with it, and really just has the time and wants to be with the kids, because they really are.
They would
fun
have to love
times.
children, you know, to want to be able to volunteer. And so how, if a person, say for example, one of our viewers listening now, and they would want to become either a volunteer for Building Bridges or be a foster parent, how would they go about inquiring?
If they want to call me, and the number is 496-7863. They can call me there, and I can send information out to them about our program and our philosophies, and then I also make up a newsletter every other month, and I send it out, and that has a list of all the events that we have coming up. And a lot of times I tell them, you know, come out to one of our events and see what we're about, meet our staff, because I think we have great staff, and meet the kids and see how we, you know, how we work, because we are different from, you know, other areas and stuff. And so I tell them, come on out and just see what we're about, and, you know, and then usually the kids are, you know, or the volunteers are ready to go. Then they get pumped up and ready to go after that. So
I want to talk to you about also the George Foster home, and because I've visited the home many times, and I just love the work that they're doing there. We'll be back to talk a little bit about the George Foster home with my guest, Noreen Kennedy. Stay with us. Hello, I'm William Pace, and I'm back with my guest, Noreen Kennedy from Building Bridges. And I want to ask you, what is the real meaning of building bridges? What's behind that?
Well, Building Bridges is an area of probation with Montgomery County Juvenile Courts, and I would say that the meaning is we are bridging that gap between what they're not getting met at home, the healthy things they're not having met at home, and then trying to get them to that point where they are, you know, productive citizens in society, and filling in the needs that they need to get to be those people. So.
And the source of funding?
We are a nonprofit, privately funded. We do grants, and mostly it's just out there, you know, talking, you know, and things like shows like this, or and just looking for donations. We do donation drives.
So you have to raise a certain amount of money then for this. Do you get any funds from United Way? Do they contribute?
Yes, United Way and the Combined Federal Campaign. We are a member of that. The other thing that you know, that's how we are funded with our donations, and as I mentioned before, you know, less than 1% goes towards any administrative costs. The courts pay us to have a kid there, but, you know, to do what we do, you know, we rely heavily on the private donations. The other thing is that if we have a kid on probation and his sister or brother is at home and they're going through the same thing that this kid is in the home, you know, we need to help that child also. So a lot of times they're included in on any activities. Family members, if we can get families in, the more we can get in, the better chance we have with that child being successful. So we don't get paid anything for those. We call them non-official kids, but we have a lot of non-official kids. Or sometimes, you know, we'll have a kid on probation and just somebody that they hang out in the neighborhood, they want to come in. And, you know, it's like a safe place to come after school, and they go out on work groups, and you know, and they get paid a small amount of money to do that, but it's more a positive, putting them in a situation where they can they can be in the helping role and get a lot of positive kudos.
So the administrative costs, like salaries and so forth, comes from the county?
Yes.
County, but funding for the activities and programs and various activities comes from your own individual fundraising then?
Right.
Okay. I want to talk to you about the George Foster home, because I've been to the home many times, and I think it's just a wonderful home for the boys. Tell us a little bit about that and how it got its name.
Well, George Foster, who was a Cincinnati Reds player, he was very interested in doing something for the kids, and so he has helped get funding, and he we bought a house in Dayton, and it houses boys, 8 boys or up to 8 boys, and they have to be between 16 and 18 years old. And it is boys who need a more structured environment, and they just, and you'll see kids that'll just thrive in that. And when we go in and we interview a kid in detention, we might think this kid really needs a lot of structure. So we might recommend, maybe instead of foster care, that they go into the foster home. So it's, like I said, between 16 and 18 years old. The boys all are working on their GED or they're in school. And they have chores around the house. They learn life skills, how to do laundry, how to cook, how to go to the grocery store and buy groceries, and those things that they're going to need. A lot of them, again, some of them will go home, but a lot of them will go into an independent living program. While they're there, and they have to have a job. And while they're there, we set up bank accounts. They learn how to save money. And how to manage money. So.
And give us the phone number again if a volunteer would like to become a volunteer or get information. Give us that number again.
It's 496-7863, and that would be for both the George Foster Home and Building Bridges and the Foster Care Network.
Okay. Tell us about some of the people who have come out of the program, about their lives today. Are they working? Have some of them going on to college, or are some of them gainfully employed? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we try to follow as much as we can. When the kids are 18, they're out of the juvenile system. So, but we have, because the whole program is set up on relationships. A lot of them come back. A lot of them stay involved. A lot of times, if they're in a spot where they're not employed or whatever, they'll come back. Do you have any places I can go? Or if they need that little boost again. So a lot of them do come back. We have them working all different areas. Some have started their own businesses. We have somebody at DP&L. We had a girl who was in our foster care that she now works at DP&L, and she actually last Christmas came back, and she really wanted to talk to some of the kids that were in the foster care. And she said, she told me, she said, you all told me, you would tell me all these different things, but I kept thinking, you don't know what it's like. She goes, and they can't say that to me because I do know what it's like. And she goes, and I want to talk to them, and I want to tell them, I do. I've been there, and you better listen to what they're doing.
So she can challenge them then.
Right, exactly. And those, and that's those really neat when you have kids come back, that were ex-kids. And it's funny, one of and we even have like kids that have done internships with us from the different universities. They come back and they do a lot of different things. One of the bands last night, the lead singer was an intern with us, and and so he was really helping out a lot and stuff. But it's neat. You have a lot of them, like I said, that come back, and so you can keep in touch and what they're doing. A lot of them are married and have kids now of their own, and so it's really neat. That's really a boost that a lot of times you need. And even when we have kids that don't make it, and maybe they are committed. Even then they'll write back, saying, "Geez, I should have listened," and and even those help. I mean, you hate that's the choice that they made, but they even they come back and they'll say, I mean, we've even had them that have been in prisons, and when we take our kids maybe we do little trips where we take some kids out there and just kind of the inmates do a program where they talk to our kids, and sometimes you have them that our probation officers or ex-probation officers, and they will stop and they'll tell the group, you better listen, or you're going to be where I'm at, and so that's really a powerful thing. And a lot of times you have kids who come back that say, "Geez, that really shocked me." They're
probably the best volunteers you could have. Give us a number again for volunteers.
It is 496-7863.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
and
you
we've
for
got
having me.
a box of Esther Price fine chocolates
Oh,
for you.
good. Thank you.
It's Dayton's best.
The William Pace Show through the years has been a beacon of light in the Midwest, taking you to such destinations as the Navy Pier, the Palmer Hilton Palace Hotel, the German Village, the Showboat Majestic Theatre, the Ohio Village, and the Krohn Conservatory. There's always something cooking in the kitchen on the William Pace Show. Some of the biggest stars, entertainers, and political figures like B.B. King, Jimmy Walker, Bob Carlisle, Patti Austin, Mr. T, Whitley Phibbs, and Congressman Tony Hall have appeared on the William Pace Show. Now, without further ado, we proudly present the William Pace Show on CATV, coming to you from the heart of the Midwest.
Subscribe to the William Pace Show YouTube channel. Be sure to click the bell and give us the thumbs up. Thank you.